This week on Backyard Footy.
These kids that have a better life than I had, and that's not to say I had a terrible life. 'Cause I had a great life. You know, shout out to my mom. She raised 2 kids by herself. But like, I want these kids to have higher goals and achieve those goals. So anything I can do to help that, you know, I try to do. That's what I'm saying. Like that goes back with like getting down into the community. I want our teammates to recognize that as well. Like, we have such a platform. You know, kids look up to us. Whether we're not at the MLS level, that's fine. We're at the USL level. We're still professional athletes, and kids look up to us. And so we got to use our platform to impact as many kids as possible.
Definitely.
It's about more than just soccer.
More than just soccer. Yeah. More than just a game.
And we have such a like Brandon was saying, the platform we have, these kids, like, they look up to us so much, and I think that while we're in this career, we need to take advantage of that and like, impact as many of the youth and impact just people in general as we can, because not everyone has that platform that we have.
Wallabies, bring it back, bring it back.
Five head.
I know what it like to be alone. I know what it like to pick your pockets and not even a dime to call your own. No, God only knows. I've been through highs and the lows. I've been down, down, down before. I've been through hell and back, in the flow still cold. Been through hell and back, in the flow still cold. Been through hell and back, in the flow still cold. Been through hell and back, in the flow still cold. Been through hell and back, in the flow still.
Yo, what's up, Footy fans? Your host, Hugh aka Superhuman. We're here live for the Independence Home Opener Week. I have some very special guests here with me for the 32nd episode of Backyard Footy, where each episode I dive into the backgrounds, journeys of professional athletes, former athletes, and anyone that's been involved with the game. So I got the 2015 USL Champion Goalkeeper of the Year, Brandon Miller, and I have the local legend, Dimick from Belmont Abbey, who's now in his second year as a pro. And also, we won't be talking about their stories. Brandon was on episode 17, and Clay was on episode 26, so go back, listen to their incredible journeys and experiences. We're diving straight into footy here. Like I said, listen to their stories. You don't want to miss it. There's incredible stories. But here live, we're going to talk about our journeys in the season. So without further ado, what's up, my guys? How's everything?
Yeah, man, let's go listen to episode 17. You can hear about the journey, right? We're not going to talk about the journey today. First, I want to start out,
Yes, sir.
We're sitting in the ESPN studio
Yes, sir.
now. Like, can we sit back and reflect?
You made it, yo.
We got you gotta sit here. You gotta be just be proud of yourself,
I
man.
appreciate you,
We're
bro.
sitting in the
I appreciate
ESPN studio right now, yo.
I
Your
appreciate
podcast
that.
is connected with ESPN, the world's leader in sports, yo. That blows my mind,
Much
yo.
love, my guy.
You gotta sit back and just be like, man, you know, we come a
Come
long
a
way.
long way.
We come a
What is
long
that?
way.
From last year in the Independence's offices to now,
Right,
bro. I
exactly.
appreciate
So
that,
like,
for
nah,
real.
it makes me feel good, like that. My man's eating. You know, my man's out here working. I'm happy for you, man.
Nah,
I'm
much
proud
love,
of you.
my G, for real.
I love what you're doing with the podcast, and you know, I hope nothing but success. I hope it continues to grow and
Yes,
people
sir.
latch on. The voice of Charlotte, yo, you guys gotta come out and listen.
Everybody needs to tune in. So it's good, my guys. How was this past weekend, the first game of the season? give a little.
Clay, step on in, yo.
You know,
what do you think?
Even though you didn't
so-
start Clay, but still from an outside perspective,
Yeah.
it's very key too. You tell us your perspective, what you
Right.
thought.
So obviously we had a good preseason, I would say. It's been cool to see the growth of the team from the beginning, from the first day when we only had maybe like 10, 11 guys signed, and then see the growth of the team to now, and it all came together on Sunday against Sporting too. So I think it was good to see everything put together. Obviously I didn't start, but I was able to see a lot of growth in the individuals as well as the team as a whole. So I think starting out on the right side this year with a win is huge for the team going into the rest of the season.
I love Clay's positivity.
I know, I was about to say, when you keep it honest. I know, I was about to say,
real
when you keep it honest with
positive.
us, like, what do you think were, some pros and cons from the outside? Were we disorganized?
Yeah, I think defensively, maybe in the beginning we were a little bit disorganized, but I think learning from that after the first goal, you could kind of see from the outside perspective, from the bench I was watching, you could kind of see the team shift a little better. And yeah, they were keeping the ball, but there wasn't as many gaps and stuff for them to expose. On the ball, it was tough for us on the day. Like, we didn't really have that much possession, and they were kind of keeping the spells of possession. But I think that's something we'll build into in confidence as well.
Nah, I like the positive spin. No, for sure. It's tough for me because like with anything I do, whether it's practice, whether it's a game, I'm always like, the first thing I think is about the negatives,
Right.
And just sitting back, like I watched the game afterwards in the hotel. I'm just sitting back. I'm just like, we started the season off with 3 points. It took us 14 games last year to get 3 points. Like, we started the season off with 3 points away from home. We got a different group than we had last year. Like, I'm proud of the boys. I'm proud of the fight. We got things to fix, but I'd rather start off with 3 points than no points, So you got to look at the positives with that and just keep building on that.
10 save performance isn't easy too, yes, they're a lot outside, but one of those goes in, it's a different game.
Mr. 300 over here.
Shout out my boy. Congrats on the milestone too.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. That's another thing. It's tough for me. Like, I sit back. I was thinking about it like on the way over here. Actually, just like right after the game. It's right when the whistle blew. I'm just like thinking about, what did I do wrong? What can I fix? Like, how to fix these certain things. And you gotta sit back and like enjoy the win, enjoy the performance. And we are away from home, got 3 points. Don't focus so much on the negatives. Like that's one thing I'm really trying to work on with myself right now because we talk about Mr. 300, which we're not gonna make a thing. But like it's a milestone, and it's a milestone I can be proud of. But it's not the last milestone I want to reach. So it's like enjoy it now, but like focus on the next one.
And like you said, it's early. It's the first game of the season, time for us to enjoy. And you think of last season, we really didn't get a groove until the middle of the season, towards the end.
Right.
And so for us to get this, a good stepping stone. We know we didn't play our best, but still got a victory. It just feels good, and it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
So
That's what's big. That's what's big.
Great
like,
momentum.
we didn't play our best, but we were still able to battle, hold on, and find that key moment to get that game winner, and then take the 3 points home. That's huge.
And I think that's a big sign of like a team that's willing to grind it out. Like, you see teams win championships and stuff like that that are willing to fight out those like 1-0, 2-1 victories. So I think that's a big sign.
That's a game last year we would have lost probably.
Easily.
So to see that fight at the beginning of the season and see how we can respond to being down a goal, coming back, scoring 2, that's definitely positive. We got to build on it.
Kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Clay, coming from us 3 were all here this past off season, mostly working out together every single morning, lifting, training, getting touches. So transitioning from off season to preseason, what's kind of been like the preparation coming into the season?
So starting back into off season, I think us 3 were there from the beginning, like you said. So for me, there was definitely times in the off season where it felt like it was just dragging out, and I just wanted to go ahead and get started with preseason. And then preseason comes and you're like, dang, this is dragging out too, and now the game comes. But something I've learned from you guys, especially in Enzo and Kevon, some of the older guys who have been around the professional game for more than myself, like to take it day by day. And something Brandon and I and you and I talked about is like the mindset of it. And it's like if you focus on that one day and have that mindset that you're just going to focus on getting better that day, and the next day you come out and you're already that much better, and you keep going. So I think that for me, I was kind of enjoying that process of preseason leading up to season, and now the season's here. Like, I think we can enjoy that leading up to each game.
Right.
No, I agree. Like, we talked about it in the off season. We have long-term goals for the season. We have short-term goals for the season. It's like the short-term goals complete those step by step, and that's going to help us reach that long-term goal, right? Long-term goal, we want to make playoffs, we want to go far in the playoffs and win a championship. Like that's the long-term goal, but our short-term goal is every single day we got to get better. You know, we can't waste time. I felt like last year, especially for myself, it was a tough year mentally. I felt like I was wasting a little bit of time some days of training just because I couldn't focus on what I needed to focus on. So like, I feel like a shift for me in terms of my mental aspect of it is just like going into practice every single day, being prepared. I get there, say we get there at 8, like I'm there from 8 until whenever, and it's our job, right? So you want to be the best that you can at your job, and trying to take every single rep serious, every single touch that we take, like we're just trying to get better, right? And that's the focus instead of, I mean, it's got to be fun, right? We want to have fun with it, but at the same time, I've got a goal. We've got a goal as a team. We want to win a championship, so you know, that's the huge focus for me. Off season was great. Like I feel like we had a good core that worked out together, and that definitely helped us. And it's easier to integrate new guys in once we have like a standard with how we train, with how we do things in the gym, how we do things in the locker room, how we do things on the field. So I think that's going to benefit us in the long term this season.
From my perspective, I think the same thing. This is the best I've felt from an off-season standpoint coming into the season, and I think it's because we had this core that's been here. Literally us three and some other guys been lifting every morning, going straight to playing 4v4 pickup almost every single day. So when I came here this preseason, I was telling Cam, like, some of the days my legs felt alright after training because I've been doing this training stuff and lifting every single morning in the off season. So coming into it, I came physically ready, mentally ready. I wasn't drained in previous years because you're just getting into the groove of the season, and of course it's tiring. But we put in that work all off season where we came in as a core and flying this season. So I mean, it kind of speaks to what's happened this past weekend. You know, it wasn't pretty, but we had a good core of guys, and we have guys who fight. And because we set that standard and principle this preseason and off season, guys kind of bought in already, and we were able to pull out this victory. So
I think Clay must have ordered his gear before he started working out.
This is the same size as last year. Now I'm
a little tight.
I remember all last year, he was like, "Bro, you need to get a smaller size." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna get bigger this offseason." The boy showed up
extra reps.
I mean, so obviously last year is a little different with the new head coach, Jim McGinnis, in comparison to Mike. But from last season to this, we'll just start with preseason wise, kind of the first week. What's been the differences for you guys already?
It's been the opportunity to focus on what I need to focus on. You know, last year it was, I mean, I hate to say it, it was just a circus a bit, because like we didn't have a full coaching staff, we definitely didn't have enough players. Like we weren't ready, and so the organization not being ready for preseason means the coaching staff's not ready for preseason, which means the players aren't ready for preseason. And so that was what made it hard for me not having a specialized coach to be able to work on what I need to work on and get sharp and ready for the season. That's the biggest switch for me. Like this year, having a better relationship with my goalkeeper coach, being able to talk to him about what I need to work on, what we can work on as a group, going out early and doing things like those are all it's a huge difference. And like people don't really, fans don't, that's the one thing that bothers me the most is like fans don't really know those things, right? And that's why I think like shows like this are great, right? So people can get a little insight into it, because you would look at last year and you would be like, man, that team was just a bunch of scrubs. Well, it's a lot different when one team's getting a preseason for 6 weeks. They got a full coaching staff. They everything. They're doing sessions every single day, and then another team has half a team.
9 people.
We're not even ready for preseason. Like, but fans don't know that. They don't know about the exactly. They just see the performance on the field. They don't see what goes into it and how it affects you. Now, granted, you have to be able to kind of like block out all the other things that are affecting you. But if you can't get if you can't get the right tools to do your job, it's kind of hard to do your job. Right? So I don't want to make excuses for last year, but it's harder for us to perform as a team if we don't have the resources. So that's what I feel like it's a lot better this year. The organization, the coaching staff, the players became prepared. Right? We did our jobs in the off season. We were in the gym, we were on the training pitch, we were doing what we needed to do. The coaching staff brought in players that they identified who could help the team, and then the organization has us ready, set up, so we can get going. And I think, you know, undefeated off season, undefeated preseason, you saw it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'll just, not much to add to that because I think he hit most of the points, but I would just say like we're probably prepared, and I think that speaks volumes to the sessions that they're running now. And just everything from the organization on the field to our culture in the locker room, I think it's all starting to show and go together.
Definitely. I mean, piggybacking off that, main thing is chemistry. I mean, if you go into the corporate world, if you're a boss and your staff and employees don't know what they're doing, it's all going to be dysfunctional and everyone's going to be all over the place. And that was kind of how we were going about last year. And so, like you said, people don't see that, but in a lot of little ways, if the chemistry is off, it's on paper for me, that was the best roster I've ever been a part of from college as a pro team. We had a bunch of MLS guys from overseas, so there's really no reason for it not to be like that. But as we see, the littlest details, especially in a sport where it's a team effort like this, can definitely carry you a long way. So no, I completely agree with that.
We also talk about like culture lately. You can't underestimate how important having a strong culture is, in terms of like the standards inside your locker room, on the field, off the field. Like I don't think we really had that last year, just because you had guys coming in and out from.
So true too.
Until like March, April,
right? I forgot about that.
We didn't really have a squad that we could just like, this is our standard, this is what we do. Like it was just, we're piecing things together as the season went along, and like, you could tell it just wasn't working. So I mean, it's unfortunate. It was one of the toughest years of my career, honestly.
Me too, bro. Not making playoffs and all that too.
Mentally, it took a huge toll, but and that's why in the offseason, like we talked about it, it's a bounce back. You know, that's the main goal is to we got to forget about last season and set our standards high and set our goals high and do what we can to achieve that.
Yeah.
So Brandon, for you, how is the USL? You're going on your 9th year in the league.
9 years, baby.
9 years, true vet. How has this league been growing in your eyes?
It's wild, man. It's so wild. I think about like when I was a rookie coming in, just the standard of play, the competition. It's so different. And that's not to trash the league from before. It's just like anything that's young. It's going to grow. It's going to mature. It's going to get better, hopefully. And the league definitely has. We're like a 34, 35 team league now. We got the conferences, the competition level, especially. I love that. I think like the last few years, especially when the MLS2 teams would come in. At the beginning it was kind of like those points easy, and now like I think MLS teams are taking those more seriously, using it as a developmental pathway, which is huge for the younger players, giving them the opportunity to play against quality players on these independent teams, and I think it's great to see the growth of soccer in the U.S. I have a vision for where it's going to go in the future, and I think that it's on the right path.
And you see a new wave of kids now. Some are foregoing college and coming straight to the USL, and it's kind of a game changer because it's like if I'm 17 and I have a good idea I can go pro, I might skip college and play for 10 months instead of in college and only playing for 3 months. So you have a new wave of kids because more money's into the league now. There's more teams, there's more opportunities. So you have kind of just like overseas, kids are now going more soccer-specific routes and giving themselves definitely a better opportunity.
It's just different.
It is.
Playing against men versus playing against the college, and that's not to trash the college system. I came through the college system. I developed in the college system. There's plenty of good players that still come out of the college system, but it's a totally different monster. Like you look at some of these young kids who trained with us. You look at like a Daniel Steedman who did well with us, trained with us for a couple years, and did well with us, and like he goes to Virginia, does well, and now he's in the USL as well. Hopefully, I see him potentially going into MLS at some point. Like it gives you. I feel like it gives you a leg up when you can get against that competition at 15, 16 years old. Some of the young kids that we've signed this year are gonna have a bit of a leg up when they hit college because again, we talk about standards. They know the professional standard, and they know where they want to be. They want to get to, so they can use that college springboard, get a few good years in there. Maybe it's 4 years. That's up to them. But
something we all wanted as a kid.
Exactly.
I would have loved to have been training with USL pros as a high school.
Just knowing what the level's like. Coming out of college, I didn't really know what the level was like. I remember getting to practice the first day when I got to Rochester, and I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I can do this.
Right.
Yeah, I think the opportunities now for the younger generations are becoming more and more available, and like the opportunity to jump into the professional game for the younger people and to have that experience is going to be huge for our country as a whole that's growing.
So Clay, coming into your second year now, well, I guess your second, you really got signed in July, so it really hasn't been a full year. We'll give him a second year.
Year two, baby. We'll call it year two.
You know what I'm saying? Year two. So what's been the difference?
Well, let's take a second and like, because we talk about Hugh being in ESPN studio. We gotta.
Yeah.
We never really talked about
Big
that.
facts.
But it's one of those things that I feel like people ignore. It's like, oh, I got my option picked up. All right, I'll be back there next year. But you really got to sit back and like, because how many people? I think about this a lot. Like, how many people sign professional contracts?
Right.
One,
Right.
and how many people get their option picked up, sign a second professional contract. I don't know the exact. I remember I looked it up at some point. But like the exact. I don't know the exact statistics on it right now. But like, you got to be proud of yourself, and you gotta realize like, I can do this. Now I need to push on and do more. Like, and that's one thing like I want you to always think about is like, you know, the grind that you took to get here. Just like, I don't even know if I would have had it. You know, I don't know if I would. And I hate to question myself like that, but like the what you did to put in and get that contract, like it has to be
Episode 26.
applauded.
Tune in.
Has to be applauded. And so like. I want you to take that little victory. That's not a little victory. That's a big victory.
Major.
But the little victory of getting your option picked up. That's not something small. You know.
Yeah.
Be proud of that, and now we build on that.
Right.
My bad. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I appreciate
it's
it.
needed
For
though,
sure.
because
Feel really thankful and blessed for it. And like, I'm excited and like B said, ready to push on now.
we've been here for some long times, B, and we know a bunch of dudes who retire, don't even get their options picked up, and they just
They have
quit
nowhere to
and give up.
go,
They
and
have
it's
nowhere
like
to go.
you got to be proud of that.
We've been here for some long times, B, and we know a bunch of dudes who retire, don't even get their options picked up, and they just
They have
quit
nowhere
and
to
give up.
go,
They
and
have
it's
nowhere
like
to go.
you got to be proud of that.
Yeah.
Right. So what's been the differences for you now?
From a personal standpoint, I think going into this year, after having a successful last 2 months of the season last year, I was able to play a lot, get a few starts, and obviously get my contract picked up. So I think for me coming in, it's weird, like it's a mentality thing. Like the first year I was kind of like a rookie, like you're kind of nervous at times, but I definitely felt, so far I felt more confident and like more like I have a voice now and like am able to use that on the field, and so I want to have a big impact. I know obviously we have veterans in front of me and like they're good players, but I know I'm waiting for my chance to come and like take the opportunity when it comes.
And you're part of the core too, as we were talking about this past offseason too. I mean, your voice goes a long way, and you're looked upon definitely from the rookies and the other standpoint as one of the veterans and leaders too. And I see you associating yourself with the younger players, getting them accustomed to our ways and stuff like that too. So I mean, even in that sense too, because we had to do that for you last year, so you can get situated. I feel like if you didn't have good mentors like Dom and other people that keep your head straight, you might not have even been able to stick through those couple months of grinding for that contract.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and that's something that I've like really wanted to kind of focus on off the field and on the field as well. But off the field is kind of integrate those young players in to see the culture, because I think the core that they kept has done a good job of keeping that culture and kind of keeping that standard that we want to play to and that we want to act like off the field, and that kind of come together for the chemistry. And that's something that we talked about. We don't want young people coming in kind of like making the milk sour, you know? So I think that taking that upon us, like people who are returning, even if I'm only like my second year, I think that's a point of focus that we can build on and like, keep each other together.
Shout out to Brandon Miller too. Just got a notification. My man made Team of the Week.
Hey,
that right now. So I had to give my man a little shout out. Tennessee's whatnot. Team of the Week. Go tune in and see my man on Team of the Week. But nah. So how can the USL keep growing and keep impacting this soccer game in this country?
Yeah, for sure. I think League One's going to grow. That's going to give more young guys opportunities. And so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully a little pro well coming soon.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a game changer. That's gonna be a game changer. I think when the USL teams get soccer-specific stadiums like Louisville and Indy gets their own soccer-specific one, where the MLS teams come down and at least they're playing in a proper stadium size. Because that's the thing too. We're still using Memphis, using baseball stadiums and diamonds. Like when they come down, at least like in overseas when they play the FA Cup and play the lower divisions, that still come to a regular standard-sized stadium. And so at least you know you can play good footy, where at least when you come down to our stadiums, not everyone has their own soccer-specific stadium, so you're still playing baseball diamonds and some other college football stadiums as well on turf and stuff too. So I think it's kind of tough for MLS teams to come down, but once we start growing as a league and League One and the championship as well, definitely Pro relegation is definitely on the way too.
Yeah, and like you can kind of see the fan bases as well, like starting to grow. Like I remember we went to Memphis last year, and was that their first year last year?
Yeah, it was
Like their fan base was insane for like their first year, and that was like one of the best atmospheres. And we go like Louisville has a good fan base, so I think the fan bases as well. That people are eager for the sport to grow.
Shout out to the Memphis fans.
Shout out to the Memphis fans. You don't know what you're talking about. Go back to the last game last year.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
To the Memphis fans. You don't know what you're talking about. Go back to the last game last year.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
How can we grow it in the city though? How can we grow footy in the city?
That's a great question. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. We got to get out there. Us, you know,
Yeah.
me, you, Clay, the rest of the team. We got to get out there, so people will know who we are, what we're about. We got to be visible in the city, and connect with these people that don't know much about us. You know, don't have as much access to us at Matthews Sportsplex. So that's the big thing for me. Just being more visible in the city. And that's my goal for this year with the old squad, is to be able to get everyone out and reach the people that physically can't be there, and the ones who just don't know about us and just aren't aware. So I think that's the one way I want to, you know, kind of make soccer more known in this city.
And
Yeah, I think that the visibility is huge here. Like there's definitely a market for footy to take off.
Yeah.
But like even I'll go eat uptown, and you'll see like the Knights little cars and the Checkers little cars. It's like just something as simple as the Independence, just somewhere that people can see it more often. I think that would go a long way.
A lot of people still don't know about Independence. Pro soccer's been here before the MLS team. The MLS gets announced, and everyone's like, finally soccer's here.
Finally, professional soccer is here.
Professional soccer is
Right, but we've been here. Like,
Yeah.
this needs to grow some more. People need to see our Yeses and Matthews is a little ways, but people need to understand that this pro soccer has been here all along. Come see guys. So potentially, I assume if you look at the trend from other USL teams turning to MLS, maybe a guy or two from the Independence or USL teams get called up to the MLS. So why not build kind of a connection with these guys in the lower second division, and then when they touch the MLS, you even have more reason to go and support these guys. I mean, those little things go a long way in every single sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little different. Like, I grew up in this city, and I've always wanted professional soccer at the highest level to be here. Like, when MLS started, I was like, man, I hope MLS comes to Charlotte one day. And I'm definitely happy for the city, but I want the city to like show out for MLS, but I also want them to show out for the other teams that are here, whether it's the Charlotte Independence, whether it's Stumptown, you know, go support your local soccer teams. There's quality out there, you know, and there's nothing better than playing in front of passionate fans, whether it's 3,000, whether it's 30,000. So, you know, I'm excited for the city. I think that I think things like this, like the Backyard Footy podcast, ESPN, like that's gonna definitely help grow the culture in this city. I just want it to, you know, be done the right way.
Right.
I mean, there's a little culture here already. You see in the Mexican games and other games that we have here at Bank of America, how many people turn out. So I definitely agree. So how can you guys make a difference more than just soccer, though? People always see us as athletes, and they always think we're just using our, you know, pedigree a little bit only on the field, but off the field in terms of just not being just strictly athletes. How can we make a difference more than just soccer?
Yeah, so for me personally, I like to be involved with the youth, whether that's coaching or running youth clinics, whatever that looks like. But I think a lot of life and most of it, like whether it's business or playing or your family, a lot of it's relationships. And so I think having those relationships and being able to create those relationships through the game and then take them off the game and be like, hey, like this kid needs help in school, like you're able to mentor him, tutor him, and just kind of be like that person who they can look up to. I think that having that impact can go a long way on a kid's life, and then maybe he reaches another 5 kids. So I think building relationships while we have this ability to is huge, and that's something that I feel called to do in my life for sure.
Yeah, no, there's not really much more you can say about that. Like, I grew up without a dad, and I know how tough that is, and so I try. My goal is to get out there and try and mentor the youth as much as possible, so that, you know, they know that there's people here for them, and know there's somebody that wants them to do better.
Right.
You know, I say it a lot, especially with my teammates. Like, I want them to have a better career than I had. Like, I want these kids to have a better life than I had. And that's not to say I had a terrible life. I had a great life. You know, shout out to my mom. She raised 2 kids by herself. But like, I want these kids to have higher goals and achieve those goals. So anything I can do to help that, you know, I try to do. That's what I'm saying. Like that goes back with like getting out into the community. I want our teammates to recognize that as well. Like, we have such a platform. Kids look up to us, whether we're not at the MLS level, that's fine. We're at the USL level. We're still professional athletes, and kids look up to us. And so we got to use our platform to impact as many kids as possible.
Definitely.
It's about more than just soccer.
More than just soccer. More than just a game.
And we have such a like Brandon was saying, the platform we have, these kids, like, they look up to us so much, and I think that while we're in this career, we need to take advantage of that and like, impact as many of the youth and impact just people in general as we can, because not everyone has that platform that we have, and I think that's really special to have that. And I know you two, especially being veterans, like, that's something I looked up to, and you guys, like, you don't just go home and waste your days, but like, rather than going home and waste your days, you realize the ability you guys have to have an impact on people. So I think that if we can get more people to catch on to that, like, it'll definitely spread like the positivity and just role model of the team.
People always look at the major leagues and not necessarily looking at us and what we're doing in the second division, how hard this grind is. Kind of why I started this show, for people to understand what we're doing, not really for the money, but for the next generation, for us two being this league person, me 7, him going on 9, but being stepping stones for the next wave of kids to keep coming, because we want to keep this game growing. So definitely in every way. But we've been talking a lot of positivity, which is good too, but what are some negative and things that need to be changed in this game so that we can fix this?
In this league, or in the United States?
Or like our team?
We'll do the league in the States.
I mean, I think the league is what we're working on. You know, the players union. We gotta provide a better option for those young players that we talked about to come into the championship. The ones who aren't ready to take that step to the USL or the MLS. Just in terms of just little things, talk about healthcare, salary, there's just things like that. We just got to provide a bit more for the players, so that they're enticed to come to the USL instead of, you know, I know guys who just retired after college because they looked at that salary and they were like, no, I can't do it.
I got a degree, so why am I going to keep going through the struggle?
And there's too many talented players who have to make that decision, and obviously it's getting better. There's so much more money in this league now. Teams are paying well, but there's also, like, you know, there's a high end of the spectrum and there's a low end of the spectrum, and unfortunately that low end is too low right now. So the players union is definitely something that's going to help this league, help League One, and I think help soccer in general in the United States.
Yeah, like what Brandon was saying, I think if you make it more appealing for the young kids to forego college, like if they're not really feeling that, and then they stay here in the States and they have that ability to play in the USL, and with the players union and all this stuff and the benefits coming, hopefully that will give them more of a incentive to do the USL and then grow it here, grow the game here, and eventually move to the MLS and keep going.
We don't hate college, by the way.
Yeah.
I want that
College, I think
there's a route for everybody, right? There's a route for everybody. For me, it was college soccer. You know, I had the discussion with my youth coach before about, you know, possibly trying to turn pro and go to different places from high school, but it just never panned out, and I always saw my future in college, and I don't regret that one bit. Like, I had a great 3.5 years and met some great people, made some great connections, and obviously I am where I am right now. But, you know, it's not the path for everyone, and so if that's not the path for them, you've got to have other paths, other viable paths for them. And before, when I was younger, you know, the USL wasn't really a viable path, but I think now it is.
Yeah.
It's different now too. I mean, I tell a lot of the young boys, if you're serious and think you have an opportunity to get to the major leagues or want to pursue this career, do you want to play soccer for maybe 2.5, 3 months, or do you want to play with grown men for like 9, 10 every single day? And the college, not just the game, but the college environment is an animal. And I know a lot of guys that don't survive just the environment of college and the whole aspect of it. And so it's like, yes, when you're getting paid as a young kid, it also has this doubts as well. Also has some negatives as well when you have money as a teenager, but just getting caught up in the system. Some teams don't even play soccer. I know as a mid-major school, we really didn't play the best soccer like that. We played very direct, and a lot of guys didn't thrive in that situation. So especially when you're coming from younger situations where you play good, beautiful soccer and you want that to translate. Well, the college game isn't necessarily like that. And so I tell a lot of the young boys, if you really think you have an opportunity, you might want to forego that opportunity because you can always go back and get your degree and things, but making memories, getting experiences. All right, you don't like it when you're 20, 21 years old, yes, you can go back and play because those opportunities are really once in a lifetime sometimes if you get that as a youth. So
yeah, I mean, it's totally different getting mentoring from you or myself versus a college junior or senior because they're still in that environment where they're, you know, partying, I got classes, all that other stuff, like they're still in that bubble. Whereas, you know, I've been through it for 9 years, you've been through it for 7 years, like you know what to avoid, what you need to do to be a top professional. So it's just different. The learning experience that you're gonna get in the college game versus jumping straight into the pros.
Mm-hmm.
what's something people don't know about you guys?
Outside of soccer?
Outside of soccer.
I don't think many people know, besides my close friends, that I was adopted. So it's a fun fact. So was my brother. My parents who adopted me, they live in Georgia, and that's where my brother and I were raised for the most part, in Atlanta. My birth parents were really young when they had me. They were in school my mom was at Texas Tech, so that's where I was born, down in Lubbock, Texas, in the middle of nowhere, some groundhogs and stuff. But yeah, so that's one fun fact, I would say.
I think I mentioned it before. Like I grew up in a single parent household. You know, my dad passed away when I was 6. You know, that's not really something I discuss with a lot of people, but it had a huge impact on my life, and it's helped form, you know, the way I am now. And so that's something like, you know, I've begun to acknowledge a bit more just because it's plays such a huge role in who I am as a soccer player, as a person. You know, my dad got me started in soccer when I was 5, 6 years old. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to see me grow to where I am now, but he was a huge part of why I do what I do and who I am today. So, you know, a lot of people don't know that. You never really know people's stories just from, you know, barely meeting them. But that's one thing that's been a huge impact in my life and making who I am.
I also say we're, especially us three, big book readers too. People really don't think that, you know, people spend some time to do some other things off the field, but we're definitely road trips. Got this Goodreads app as well. We follow each other and see what books we're tracking, but it's something that we all like to do is read because it keeps our mind mentally sharp, and we got to start thinking of ourselves as more than athletes too, so that's something that we also do, preparing ourselves for our futures as well.
Right now, Clay?
What am I reading right now?
Yeah, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading The Change Agent.
The Change Agent? Okay.
Yep, and then reading a book for Lent. Easter's coming up. But actually, unfortunately, I left all my books on the plane from Kansas City, so I'm in touch with American Airlines. No, that's another fun fact I haven't told you.
Just finished reading The Richest Man in Babylon finally. If y'all haven't read that, definitely go read that. I highly recommend.
You?
Right now I'm on The Virgin Way by Richard Branson. I just finished up the Robert Iger, I think that's how you say his name, the former Disney CEO. Very good book, very informative about leadership and just what it takes, different characteristics it takes to be a leader. I love reading books like that. That's why I like reading this Richard Branson book. It's just like, if you're gonna learn from somebody, you know, learn from people who've done it, learn from people who are at the top of the game and are willing to share their knowledge. You know, so that's why I've been really trying to focus on certain books as opposed to just like, there's nothing wrong with fiction and all that stuff, but I'm just trying to grow as a person right now. And I think this is what's helped me grow the most, especially, I just started reading in 2020, I'm not going to say I'm reading Aficionado. I sat back and thought at the beginning of the year, I realized like I haven't read a book in so long. It's been years, maybe since college, so. But now, hey, I banged out 8 books in 2020, you know, I'm almost 35.
I think that it's like, what we talked about, we have so much time to do, and a lot of people, like, you see them go home watch Netflix all day.
And waste their time.
Yeah, waste your time, but there's not a better feeling than when you go home, read for some time, and you're like, all right, I actually learned something today.
Exactly, you could waste your time. I found myself sitting at home now, like, I'm about to turn on the TV and I'm like,
Nope, I don't watch TV.
Yeah, what? Like I could watch an episode. Or I could pick up my book and actually learn something that's gonna make me think.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the part that I enjoy, and that's why like I'm trying to get these young kids, you know, these young teenagers, like you know, I joke about it, but it's like, you know, if I thought about these things, learned these things, listened to the older guys when I was 20, 21, 22, you know, like, you know, where could I be? You know, you don't wanna question your path, but it's like now it's my job to impart that wisdom on the younger kids, and hopefully, you know, if it's not going to be everyone, at least one person's going to listen to me, and then you know their path goes from a straight line to, you know, they're going higher.
Exactly. So this was the USL's first weekend, this past weekend. What have you guys been thinking about the other games, some other teams?
Some interesting results, I'll say that. There's some interesting results. It's tough. It's the beginning of the year. You know, you don't want to. There's going to be teams who didn't perform well this past weekend and end up making the playoffs and doing well. And you know, there's teams that got good results this weekend that are going to struggle throughout the season. It's such an up and down thing. Like it's hard to really judge off that first week, which is why I don't want to judge us off our first week. We did well, and I think we're going to continue to grow. But there's also teams that took some L's that are probably going to bounce back. They're going to have to regroup. You know, lick your wounds and regroup, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's early days, but it's interesting to see, you know, some of the results you talked about. But like you said, it's early days, and we'll see.
Yeah, there's definitely some good matches like that Indy game we were watching.
Yeah.
Indy versus Memphis, and Memphis goes up 2-0, and Indy comes back, shows they're better in class, and come back with 4 and win 4-2. I mean, this league every single year has been growing. The quality of Miami's in here now. Who else is joining the league this year? San Diego out west. Like every single year, especially I've been in the East all my 7 years, but the East just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And this competition, I mean, it's definitely bringing the best out of every club and every person, which is great and it's needed. But man, just to make playoffs is tight these days.
It's tough. So much talent on it. Like, you gotta show up every day, and I'm excited about it.
What's some games you're looking forward to this season?
Us playing?
Yeah, us playing.
Oh man, I was looking forward to going back to Memphis.
Yeah, I was going to say
back to Memphis. Obviously, Tim Howard changed that a little bit. You know, you're playing against 11, so that'll be exciting. I'm going to Louisville, seeing that stadium, playing against a quality team like Louisville. I think that'll be exciting. It's hard to pinpoint one team because there's so much talent spread around the league right now. You know, we got Pittsburgh coming up. They've got a lot of good players on their roster.
NCFC will be a good one.
NCFC,
that one you always get up for. It's like an in-state thing.
I actually think those are the ones I'm looking forward to the most. NCFC, Charleston,
too.
Those close rivals that you know we haven't necessarily done well against these past couple of years. It's time for us to start stepping up, and you can't call it a rivalry when you keep getting beat. You know, I don't think we've beaten NCFC since I've been here, and so it's time to change that.
I'm looking forward to Birmingham as well. I think going down there last year, the environment was good, the field was class, and like I know they're a talented team, so I think that'll be a good one as well.
They upgraded themselves this year too.
Yeah, so
good firepower.
They're even more firepower than they had last year, so that's one I'm looking forward to as well.
Who did you make your debut against last year?
Tampa.
I forgot about Tampa.
What a game to make a debut.
What a game to make a debut.
And then right after that, this is my first start, Red Bulls away. Just threw me into it.
Welcome to the USL, you know?
Wow.
So piggybacking off kind of what you were saying earlier, it's the Independence's home opener this weekend. Are you excited? What's your thoughts going into this week? How you been preparing?
I mean, I was actually talking to my girlfriend right after the game this past weekend. I was like, I'm excited about next weekend. We got a good result this weekend, actually last weekend, but you know, I want to build on it. I'm excited to get back on the training pitch and get to work. Focus week by week. But you know, Pittsburgh's always a good one. Bob Lilly.
I was gonna say we see our former coach Bob Lilly.
Shout out to Bob. But they also got a bunch of former teammates. You know, Tony Walls. Canardo, we just know so many players on the team. It's going to be a good battle.
Dos Santos was there when you were there too?
Yeah, that was his first year in Rochester.
Yeah, this is exciting for sure. I think that for us athletes, like this time of the year when it's like play a game, train, play a game, train. That's the best time of the year, you know. So you always have something to look forward to.
Getting back in that rhythm.
That rhythm is
huge.
I forget how good it feels until you're in it. This rhythm is awesome.
You won that 2015 championship with Bob Lilly. Kind of tell us how'd you guys even pull that off throughout the year? The process of it's tough. I mean, we all have that mindset coming in from preseason, but not only one team can be a champion. So how was that whole process throughout the year?
It was interesting. I mean, I think we were young, not a lot of USL experience, and I think we were a bit naive, I guess. I think that was a good thing for us. You know, we weren't really nervous or anything. It was more so like we came together because we had to. Bob had standards for us.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'll always respect about Bob. You know, I've talked to him about this before, and I tell people this all the time. Like, Bob had standards for you, and if you didn't meet them, then he was going to find somebody else to beat him, but he wasn't dropping his standards.
I know.
Right? I'll never forget. I think I've told this before. Like when I can't remember what game it was after in 2015. It was the beginning of the season, and we had won, and I thought I had played pretty well. And Bob pulled me aside after practice and was like, you know, you need to.
I know, right?
You did this.
Seriously, it was like
but
that.
Like,
though.
if we're gonna be I remember he said, if we're gonna be successful this season, you have to play higher off your line. You have to be more aggressive. You have to do. And I'm sitting there like, we just won. We're undefeated.
It don't matter though.
And he is still getting on me, and at the time, obviously, you don't like it. You're like, what's this guy talking about? What's he doing?
Right.
But like, he has standards, and you know, you've got to meet him because his standards are championship standards, and you can't deny his record. You know, he's been successful at this level, and that's kind of, I look back at that, and that's kind of what like I want to do now with these younger. That's my goal for our team, is like to have these standards, and we can't let them drop. Right? People may be having a bad day, we lift them up, but we have standards. You know, and that's the one thing I always appreciate about Bob, and like that season was just crazy, man. Like it was. We got some momentum and we just never lost it. You know, I remember at one point, I think it was like 6 games in, I just remember thinking like, I never walked on the field and thought we were going to lose or even draw. Like I never thought there was never any doubt that we were going to get the result.
Did you guys go undefeated that year?
We didn't. We actually lost to Charlotte Independence. Yeah, that was our only loss of the season. We played in between from the start of preseason all the way to the end of the season with playoffs, Open Cup, all that. We played, I think, 40 games, and we lost 1.
Wow.
Like, that's one of those things I look back on. That's the thing I look back on the most. And I'm like, that's something to really be proud of. We lost 1 game.
Wow.
In that season, like the day-to-day at practice and stuff, was that those standards where you could see those standards in practice as well?
Yeah, like you couldn't drop. And I always say like I feel like I won goalkeeper of the year that year because I had a goalkeeper behind me, shout out Adam Grimris, who pushed me every single day. I never felt comfortable in that season. Never ever. I would go into practice like, man, I gotta perform today because I killed it yesterday. You know, like, and like I try not to focus on what the other goalkeeper's doing because I want to focus on what I'm doing. But you can't help but see when kids are picking the ball out of corners and making saves and stuff. So like, he was one of the big reasons I felt like we won a championship. Why I was able to push myself to become goalkeeper of the year is because like he pushed me every single day, and at the same time he was my biggest fan, and that's what I always appreciate. Like he's a good friend. I think he's one of the best teammates I've ever had. But you need people like that. You need in a championship team. It's not that you're accepting your role, but you know your role and you're pushing for better. But at the same time, like you're not bringing the team down. Like you're not. We talked about culture, and you're not in the locker room souring the milk. You know, that's a decent phrase. I ain't really talking about that part now. That's a good phrase though. Like, you know, it's tough sitting on the bench, man. I've been in that situation. I've been a number 3 where I made the bench like two times in 2014. And that was the year before I won goalkeeper of the year. Like I didn't see any minutes in 2014. Barely made the bench. I've been in that situation. I've been a backup where like I'm not really getting any time. And, you know, I may feel like I'm better than the starter, but like those are the roles that sometimes you have to play. And it's not that you're like accepting it. You just have to. It's not just about you, right? So that you need guys on a championship team that are willing to do that. You're the biggest cheerleaders, but also the biggest ones pushing you.
That's exactly what I learned from him too in my year. He never let that standard down, man. Like, we finished top 4 in the league, first ever home game for Pittsburgh. But even after a win, he is not letting you be too happy about that at all? Like exactly what you're saying. You felt like you could be replaced each and every week. And there's guys who would ball out that game and even score a goal, he wouldn't start you the next game. And sometimes you just did it to keep you honest so you wouldn't get too happy. But doing all those little mind games and mentally just being on you, and you know guys can be replaced, you know you might be happy, but Bob definitely saw something else. Bob always has something to say. Bob always has something to critique. But, I mean, to Bob's credit as well, off the field, I mean, he was definitely a gentleman. He definitely someone you could also talk to. On the field, he might be rah-rah, and practice, he might be all on you as well. But off the field, though, I remember definitely having conversations with him. There's definitely a mutual respect, and I can see where he gets the mentality and why people are still coming to him.
I don't know if you want to get in a conversation with Bob.
Nah, in a couple hours.
That thing turns that's your afternoon gone.
So thoughts on Pittsburgh this weekend, though?
It's gonna be a tough one. It should be, you know, but I'm excited about it. They've got some talent. They got a lot of talent up top. Bob's gonna have them organized. You know what you're gonna get from this team. They're gonna be tough defensively.
First game of the season for them.
Yeah,
too.
and that's the first. First game of the season, so there's gonna be some rust there, but they're still gonna be a good squad. So, you know, it's gonna be a big week for us. A big week preparing for it. I'm excited for it. I love the challenge. I can't wait.
And we're at home too.
And we're at home. About to show out in front of everybody in Matthews. Make it out. Get out to the game.
You played Pitt last year?
No, I didn't. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
But you were you definitely signed by the home game, right?
Yeah, I was on the bench of the home game. Against Pittsburgh. When it rained and then we went back out.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll definitely be coming organized. I know I have a good idea. He's probably going to come in, wants to stay extra compact and better safe than sorry. But I know that he always wants to win. He always gets on everybody if they don't get a result on the road, especially. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this game. It's going to be very fun. We got this victory already, so I think fans are going to be coming out deep, and it's going to be exciting for them to see what we can bring. And I think we're going to play a little differently after having a game under our belt, too. So, y'all should come out this weekend, tune in, make sure y'all come say what's up to us. Check us out all year, too. Don't just come to one game and not show up anymore, but it's something to look forward to this season. It's about to be good. But I appreciate you guys for coming on the show. Make sure y'all follow them on IG, Twitter, Facebook.
DVO26.
Where can they find y'all?
I mean, personal Instagram, Twitter, DVO26. And business, Prime Focus Goalkeeping.
Yes,
Check us out.
Yes,
Prime
sir.
Focus GK.
My fault. Give us a little background. What you doing?
I mean, Prime Focus is just like, you know, my motivation is I talk about impacting the youth. Like, I originally started the brand because I remember when I was younger, like, single mom, can't afford, you know, expensive gloves, and I remember that affecting my play just because, like, I thought if I didn't have the best gloves, I wasn't going to be the best goalkeeper. Right. So I wanted to create a brand that's going to give goalkeepers confidence and give them the opportunity to get gloves that they can perform in. And as well, we use the blog, we use the podcast, we use the YouTube channel, just educate. I had a parent email me the other day, just saying how much the podcast had helped them navigate with their own son, who's making these college decisions, making the decision between professional and college, and that's the stuff that I want. I want to impact. And I want to help these families, these young kids understand that there's so many different paths. That if you go on the blog, there's probably 10, 12 different articles from different professional goalkeepers from MLS, USL, abroad, and they've all gone on different paths, but a lot of the struggles that they've had are similar, right? So I want these young kids to realize, like, we've gone through some of the same things. Right. I know what you're going through, and I'm trying to help them. Like I said, have a better career than I had. Right. I want them to succeed just as much. So. That's the main focus with the brand, and it's been fun.
Where can they find the brand at?
PrimeFocusGoalkeeping.com. That's our website. Check it out. We got the blog on there. We got the products. You can hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Prime Focus GK. And that's it. That's where you can find us.
Sir.
Where we at, Clay? Where you at?
You can find me at Clay Dimick.
You can
nice
find
and
me.
simple.
Man's deep in his voice.
DM me.
Deep in his voice.
Respectfully DM me.
He also has a fiance.
Shout out
get out here.
Congrats, my guy.
Congrats on that.
Thank you. Wedding coming up December 19th.
Either.
I appreciate y'all again, though, man. For real. Backyard Footy is brought to you by the BGN network of podcasts. That's BGN.FM on the internet. You can also follow them on Twitter at the BGNFM. Appreciate y'all again.
Shouts out BGN.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all again.
Shouts out BGN.
Yes, sir. Alright, bet. Ready? Yeah. What's up, Footy fans? It's your host, Hugh Roberts, aka Superhuman. We're here for the independent. Let me start this shit.
Outtakes, baby.